What's going on, everyone? Mike Kadlick, Tayler Kyles here for CLNS Media. Inside of Gillette Stadium as Drake Maye, Patriots quarterback, just spoke with the media for the first time under new head coach Mike Vrabel. He talked about plenty of things. So did teammate Christian Ellis, actually, who also kind of stole the show here down in Foxboro. But Drake Maye talks about Mike Vrabel, saying it's been awesome to get to know Mike Vrabel, looking forward to continuing to get things working, and also mentioned Will Campbell, his new bookend left tackle, saying how excited he was that Will Campbell said he literally would die on the field for Drake Maye.
We'll get fight and die. Yeah, he's not just going down. He's putting up a struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll get to Christian Ellis in a second. But just wanted to get your thoughts on Drake Maye, what he had to say under this new regime here. Talked a lot about Coach McDaniels working with Josh. And also playing with new wide receiver Stephon Diggs, and that he actually used to play with him in Madden as well as had him on his fantasy team. So what were your takeaways from Drake Maye's press conference?
I mean, that happens when you're Stephon Diggs. You're in the league long enough. Some guys are going to have played as you in Madden before they even picked up a football. So obviously that was cool. I thought, obviously, as the X's and O's nerd, was really fascinated by Evan Lazar's question about, now you're in this offense where there's a lot more control, a lot more pre-snap communication that comes from the quarterback specifically. And Drake seemed to be all on board. Obviously, we know he's a very cerebral player, and that was a responsibility that he was looking forward to, being able to, maybe the center doesn't see the safety coming, from the edge of the defense, and then Maye can see that and be able to relay it to the rest of the offensive line and have a little bit more control there. I also thought it was kind of interesting just talking about, the leadership. Everybody mentions, he seems so much more comfortable, and I asked him about it, and he didn't go too far in depth like Drake Maye, interesting off the field, uninteresting off of it in terms of press conferences, and that is exactly what you want from a quarterback. But, he mentioned how it's not really something he thinks about, but it is something that he does care strongly for and wants to be a guy who can lead this organization, and that's the job of a quarterback. So again, not a terribly eventful presser from Drake Maye specifically, but knowing that he is excited to have more control in this Josh McDaniels offense. Also the weaponry. He said they had some plug-and-play guys, and that's what we were hoping for out of the draft. And obviously, even though there weren't a ton of offensive options in free agency, I think overall they did a good job surrounding him with some talent. So Drake Maye looks like he's a happy camper in the Vrabel era.
Also spoke with linebacker Christian Ellis, who signed a 2-year, $13.5 million contract with the Patriots this offseason. He was a restricted free agent, signed an offer sheet with the Las Vegas Raiders, and then the Patriots matched it, and he was absolutely thrilled to come back here. He said it was life-changing money that him and his wife came upon. They got very emotional and kind of talked about that aspect of it, that he had gotten cut 6 times before landing with the Patriots, finally making an impact, and talked about Mike Vrabel. I'll hand it to you on what he had to say about how Mike Vrabel is making a hands-on impact with them on the practice field.
Yeah, so first, just the human element for Christian Ellis, because we don't often get that part of it, and it's really cool when we do. He mentioned how when he got it, he actually teared up when he received the offer sheet because he'd been cut so many times and finally had some stability, saying, I don't want to be a journeyman. I want to be able to see my kids raised in one home. I almost got a little emotional, so that was very cool. And Christian Ellis, like a guy who's driven by his faith, obviously really nice to talk to. I recommend watching the interview. He's a really, really cool guy. But even more than that, it doesn't matter if you're a cool guy. It matters that you make football plays as a football player at the end of the day. And that's what he does. He said that he thinks he's a perfect fit for this Vrabel defense, where it's not going to be so much two-gapping. It's going to be about the linebackers and them being able to make plays by being fast and aggressive, not so much taking on blocks as we've seen in the past. And also asking about the special team stuff, because Jeremy Springer told us a couple weeks ago that he didn't expect to see a whole lot of Christian Ellis on special teams and have him more on defense. And Christian Ellis said, well, I'm pretty good at special teams, so I'm cool with staying on. I still want to be a part of that, but hopefully, even if there is a bigger role for the defense in the future. And speaking of special teams and defense, little nuggets about Mike Vrabel. Everything you've heard is true. Mike Vrabel is wearing pads. Mike Vrabel is hitting guys. Ellis was saying, you can see Vrabel on the sideline, and he just has that itch. He wants to get involved. He doesn't just want to coach. He wants to actually be hands-on. So that's exciting, obviously. As a football fan, you love when your head coach, as a former player, as someone who gets in the thick of it. So that's all exciting. We'll see how it actually turns into results on the field. But, all is well in the early part of the Vrabel era. Christian Ellis should have a really exciting season as a guy who I really did think fit the defense as well. And then year 2 of Drake Maye, what's better?
It's funny they talk about controlling the message and being involved with the Will Campbell story, where he was hands-on with Mike Vrabel at his pro day, and he was like, where'd you hear that? I don't know who told you that, blah, blah, blah. And now Christian Ellis is coming out right and saying it, so probably going to have to control that a little bit more. But no, truly exciting stuff coming out here so far at the beginning of the Mike Vrabel era. Patriots rookie minicamp will take place next weekend here in Foxboro, so we will be here to have that all covered. So make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to Patriots Press Pass, and we'll see you next time.